Hello, my name is Reginae Butler, and today I will be presenting on Sir Walter Raleigh. Sir Walter Raleigh was a notable Elizabethan-era poet, explorer, and writer. In the 14th century, England was in a tight race to conquer the New World before anyone else, and Sir Walter Raleigh was one of the first explorers to establish the English colonies in the New World. Sir Walter Raleigh was a celebrated soldier, early modern period poet, adorned explorer, but at the age of 54 he was executed, beheaded to be exact, for treason by James I. Sir Walter Raleigh was imprisoned in the Tower of London twice over his lifetime. Raleigh was born around 1554 and granted a patent from Queen Elizabeth to explore the world and find profitable lands that England could benefit from, which would eventually lead him to North America. In April of 1584, Sir Walter Raleigh was sent on an expedition to modern-day North Carolina to explore that land, and he was planning on naming it Virginia after Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth was secretly in love with Sir Walter Raleigh, and she was incredibly upset when she found out that he secretly married one of her ladies-in-waiting behind her back, named Elizabeth Bess Throckmorton. The secret was revealed when Elizabeth gave birth to a son, who did not survive. This resulted in Queen Elizabeth sending Raleigh and Throckmorton both to be imprisoned in the Tower of London in 1592. Fortunately, Raleigh and Throckmorton were both released later on in the year of 1592, when one of his earlier endeavors on the ship of the Madre de Droit returned loaded with spices, pearls, silver, and gold. The ship brought back some of England's most valuable assets from explorations and were incredibly profitable. While trying to win back the affection of Queen Elizabeth, he explored El Dorado and published his findings in the book The Discovery of Guyana about the South American region and how it's a hotspot for gold. As a result of Queen Elizabeth dying in 1603, the English throne was passed down to King James I. When Raleigh was framed for plotting against the king, James locked Raleigh in the Tower of London for treason. His imprisonment was a result of being rumored to be involved in the planning to dethrone James I. Raleigh was imprisoned for 13 years and devoted himself to writing. He wrote the book titled The History of the World in 1614. In 1616, Raleigh was released and led to a second expedition in search of El Dorado. The expedition was a failure and also defied the king's instructions of keeping the peace with the Spanish and resulted in his death sentence being reinstated. Raleigh's trial was in November of 1618 and he was beheaded in the old palace yard. Raleigh's head was embalmed and presented to his wife. His body was buried in a local church and laid to rest. People still continue to visit his tomb today, and his death is regarded as unjust and uncalled for. Sir Walter Raleigh and his actions were not a cause for execution. He eventually married someone that he fell in love with and had 5 children with. So I do not believe that his first time in the Tower of London was called for at all. And his second time in the Tower of London was based on lies and rumors that James I believed because he wanted to kill Sir Walter Raleigh because he did not like him and he distrusted him. I feel like all of the reasons for his executions were unjust and he was not supposed to be beheaded.